Welcome back to Those Vegan Chefs. I'm Stefan, and this channel is dedicated to making you a better vegan cook. Today we have a roasted beet recipe that we turned into a beet bourguignon. What? That's right, it's delicious. And we're gonna start plating the dish by placing our pearl onions on the bottom of the plate, a couple beautifully caramelized carrots. We're just gonna kind of scatter it. We're gonna add our roasted mushrooms, shiitakes, and button. Right on top, we're gonna place our braised and roasted beautiful beet. Finished with a little bit of our braising liquid right on top. And the last step is adding a couple vibrant celery leaves, all creating a beet recipe that is a bourguignon, baby. So I really like the idea of cutting our beet, and I'm leaving the skin on because I want the textural difference. So we're actually going to cut the beet in half this way so that we kind of get these two half dome kind of pieces. I think it's going to look really cool when the dish is done. So we're basically just going to cut all the beets. We're going to season with a little sea salt. So we have one large carrot. I cut the carrot in half. We're going to cut that in half. We have the carrot. We're going to do the same thing with the celery. The onion, we're going to cut into thirds. Make a little space. And then we're just going to do 1, 2, 3. So we have these really nice big pieces. It's time to finally get cooking. Like a tablespoon and a half olive oil. All right, we're cooking, we're cooking, we're cooking. The onions are in. Our carrots are going in. Our celery's going in. Our smashed garlic's going in. We're going to season our mirepoix. And I'm just going to kind of spread it out and just let it char and roast without disturbing too much. Maybe 3-4 minutes. There we go. Our carrots are beautifully charred. Just a little bit of caramelization on the onions. That's all we need. Same pan, no additional oil, nothing. We're just going to add our beets. We're going to place the beets in the pan. We're going to lightly sear the bottoms. Check it out, check it out. So we're going to basically next take all the beets out and we're going to start our sauce. We're going to add our 1 cup of red wine. I'm going to turn that up. We're going to let it reduce a little bit. We have 1 tablespoon red miso paste. We're just going to gently incorporate that. Okay, the wine, the miso are reducing. We're going to add our vegetable broth. We're going to add our flour and veg stock mixture. Got a couple lumps in there, but it'll work itself out. Adding our poultry seasoning, black vinegar, and molasses. Basically, we're going to stir this until it thickens. Okay, it's thickened up nicely. We're going to adjust our seasoning. We're going to add our bay leaf. We're going to add our thyme. So we already have our aromatics down. We're just going to place the beets on top. Braising liquid right on top. Off to the oven. The beets have been in for 40 minutes and the sauce is really thick and reduced. It's really nice, but this is an actual turning point in our dish. So the next step for me is I'm actually going to place the beets on a baking rack on a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. What we're gonna do with this next step is I have a marinade basting liquid of soy sauce, sweet soy sauce, black vinegar, and a little bit of olive oil. And what I want to do is to continue to cook these and baste them out of the liquid so they roast, caramelize, and kind of get that little dehydrated kind of exterior to it. If we continue to cook in this braising liquid, yes, they're going to become tender and just really soft, which is fine, but I'm looking for a textural difference in our beets. Now, if you're not in a mood and you don't feel like playing around with basting and cooking for another 30 minutes, then what you need to do is just add a little bit more broth to your liquid and incorporate it so it's not so thick, and just continue to roast and baste your beets in the baking dish. And just skip this step and then pick up right when we do all of our garnish work. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to apply our first basting, and we're going to pop them back in the oven. It's still at 400. We just wanted to make sure we added a little bit of fat to this so that the skin really gets crispy and caramelized and just brings a ton of texture to the beet. I'm basting just about every 15 minutes. The texture's changing on the exterior. The sugars are caramelizing. It smells delicious. They're getting tender. I just tested one by sticking a knife into it. And I think by the time we finish our onions and our mushrooms and carrots, our garnish work, we'll be ready to plate this beautiful beet bourguignon. One of the key steps for making our beet bourguignon is taking the time to do fresh garnish. We have pearl onions, we have carrots, of course we have button mushrooms, and we have shiitakes. This is going to bring a fresh texture and flavor to the bourguignon. The other carrots that we braised really gave everything they had, and you know what? You just need to bring a little freshness into the dish. So we're gonna start with caramelizing our pearl onions. This is one of my favorite cooking techniques ever. They're sweet, tender, and delicious. We're gonna start with heating up the pan, medium heat, hitting it with a tablespoon of olive oil. We're gonna add our pearl onions. Hey, I'm losing my onions. Season with salt. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Then we're going to add a 1/4 cup vegetable broth. And essentially, we're going to cook the pearl onions over medium heat. We're going to allow the veg stock to reduce, and as it reduces, the sugars are going to start to caramelize. The onion will be tender. You can see the vegetable broth is reducing. The onions are starting to take on color. All right, so I'm just going to add just a little bit of broth. Boom. All right, there we go. Look at the sugar coating the onion. They're tender. There go our carrots. Season with salt. Hit it with our veg stock. We're going to do the same process. The carrots are tender. The liquid is reduced down. We're going to garnish with a few leaves of flat leaf parsley. We're going to set this aside with the pearl onions until it's time to plate the entire beet bourguignon. We're going to put the mushroom in without oil to start. Wait to do the shiitakes. So essentially what I'm looking to do here is start cooking and charring, sauteing the mushroom. And once the mushroom gets going, then we're going to introduce a little oil, and then we're going to add the salt. We want to keep as much moisture inside the mushroom as possible. All right, so we're starting to get just a little bit of color. We're going to flip the mushroom. Okay, I'm in cast iron pans, getting a little bit of iron on my mushrooms. All right, we're going to reduce the heat just a touch. Now we're going to introduce the shiitakes. We're going to go drizzle just a touch of oil on top of the mushrooms. We're going to go ahead and season now. I'm going to just give the mushroom a little flip. And I'm really looking for the mushrooms to retain some texture here. Beautiful. I'm going to season the other side. We're going to just sprinkle a little bit of thyme on top of each mushroom. We're going to turn the mushrooms off the heat. Okay, we're going to add our beet braising liquid back to a pan. It's always a good idea to take a minute to adjust your sauces right before we serve them. It's actually closer than I thought it was going to be. We're going to give just a pinch of salt. I always start with the pinch of salt first because that's going to bring everything to the front. If we start adding vinegar and all these other ingredients to adjust, we may not be right on the money because we didn't start with the salt. There we go. So when I'm tasting the sauce, I'm thinking about the sweetness of the carrots, the sweetness of the onions, the earthiness of the mushrooms and their texture. I'm thinking about the beautiful beet that's been braised and roasted. And I'm trying to see, how can I elevate those flavors and also tie them all together so that every bite brings you back wanting more and more and more. So we're going to start with adding just a tiny, tiny bit of fat, maybe a teaspoon of olive oil, not too much. We're just going to whisk that in. We're going to bring just a little bit of fat to the dish because there's not a ton of fat in this dish, which is good, but fat helps transport flavors. And we're going to add just a splash of our black vinegar, just to kind of bring a little brightness to the forefront of the sauce. And I think everything should be, yeah. Guess what? Time to plate, let's do it. I really am excited because the sauce is earthy without it being so beet dominant. It's full of richness. It's just well balanced. The roasted beets have this wonderful texture that skin gets kind of dehydrated and crinkly. It's kind of a combo bite. I love the sweetness of the pearl onions. They're just like this little of like freshness. The carrots have a little bit of bite. The beets are so soft all the way through and just full of umami and earth. And then the brightness of the mushrooms with that little bit of thyme. And then we have our little parsley leaves and our celery leaves. Amazing. As always, we'll see you next week. Bye.